All right. All right. So I wasn't planning on doing this, but I had to. I accidentally ran across something, and if I don't do it now, I won't do it again. And so I ran across something. What was I doing? I was actually yes, I was actually getting the URLs for this fraud and putting them on my putting them in a bookmark for potential future reference. And then I ran across a few things. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what it was? I was actually checking one of my hard drives for something, and I ran across a video, an old video. That's what it was. That's what started it all. Then I did the other thing was organizing, uh, and the video, because I have dozens of external hard drives, many terabits. I mean, I've got all this shit saved, and I've got a video of this fucking con man on the Alex Jones show, which I'm not going to show today. I don't have the full video, but just to you all understand how it all works out, right? And it's funny because Alex Jones is a very obvious con man. What he will do, and he can size up his prey. So what he will do if he runs across someone like this guy who happened to get exposure, he knows this guy's a chump. He knows he's fucking clueless, and he's going to lead him. Alex Jones leads his guests into his whole narratives. If you ever listen to this fraud, and by the way, don't hesitate to contact this SOB. Tell him about me. He knows who I am. Okay? He'll pretend that he doesn't. I wish I saved the voicemail he left on my phone about 15 years ago. It's pretty funny. I'm not going to get into that. But Alex Jones will lead his guests. And, even the guests that are more experienced, he'll do it a little more subtly. What I mean by leading is that they'll be on the show, and psychologically, anyone who's being interviewed is going to tend to agree with the host. You all understand, right? And so if you're a host and you're a clever con man, you can subtly manipulate the host into kind of following along with your little narrative. You see what I'm saying? And this is what Alex Jones always does. But of course, all of his hosts are more than happy to agree with Alex Jones's conspiracy theories and all his bullshit, which enables him to sell his penis potion and all his nutritional fucking scams and all that bullshit. Okay? But anyway, I saw that video. It's pretty funny. But what really prompted me after that is I said, I'm going to do a little search on him. And then I found something. I found a recent page, an entry on him. Let's take a look here. And actually, I found a few more. And I'm going to show you these first. Give me a second here. I'm going to show you these first. And then we'll build up. Son of a bitch. Got a problem here with an ad blocker. Won't let me see the article. Give me a second. Bear with me. I wasn't planning on this happening. Oh, Jesus. Unfucking believable. So we're going to start out here. Unbelievable. These fucking ads. God damn. Let's take a look here. Alessio Rastani on the state of the U.S. stocks and Bitcoin. And of course, what have I always said? The con men will always move in to the latest, greatest thing. It's got the biggest crowd of idiots. And so Alessio Rastani moves into Bitcoin, like all the frauds. Okay. And so this is June 2020. Now let me just mention about the scam from Forbes. Forbes has banned me a long time. They've all banned me. Even when Forbes had to cut costs, you all know what Forbes is doing now. I've been doing this for about 10 years, more than 10 years. They actually really don't have a whole lot of full-time paid reporters anymore. The vast majority of their content comes from freelancers, comes from volunteers, contributors. Did you all know that? You probably didn't. So basically, they're getting free content. And so you say, well, why would anybody do that? Well, because they can promote their bullshit. And so the problem behind that is that imagine you've got some fucking loser contributor, no expert. I mean, at least a professional reporter has some level of, they have some experience. Now, I'm not saying that if they're dishonest, they're going to report shit. But I'm saying they have a level of diligence, so on and so forth. Right? But anyway, my point is that imagine if you have a publication, and many of these publications are doing that, by the way. You have a publication like Forbes that basically lets just about anybody except me contribute. That's right. They specifically did not allow me, one of the world's foremost investment analysts, with an obvious track record that's irrefutable. But imagine you can get any fucking twerp out there, and that's what they're doing. They have twerps that are writing for them. Okay? Imagine if you are a shyster, you're a con artist, and you want to get promoted. You can contact this contributor, writer for Forbes, and you can offer them some money to do a write-up on you. And that's exactly what happens. By the way, similar to all these Wikipedia bios, you all know that Wikipedia, there's a gutter boiler room industry paying Wikipedia editors to post a profile for you to make sure it's positive. You all know this, right? I mean, this has been going on for fucking more than 15 years. I hope you all know this. Anyway, so take a look at this article. Remember, June 8th, 2020. So for some of you who don't remember, of course I remember because I was front and center in having actually predicted the bottom in the pandemic collapse. And so this was about 3 months after the bottom. Well, let's call it 2.5 months or 2 months. Okay, we'll just roughly call it 2 months. Okay. Now let's see what this says. When the stock markets crashed in March, Alessio Rastani was buying into the S&P 500 and the UK FTSE 100, averaging down by going long as the S&P 500 dropped from 2,600 to 2,191. Even though most investors were bearish and anticipating another stock market crash, Rastani was bullish and profited from bearish sentiment. Now Rastani is looking to pull out of stocks as he believes that the U.S. stock market is about to enter a risky zone. In this exclusive interview, Rastani shares his thoughts on why stocks in the near future can carry risk and how this risky zone could impact Bitcoin's price and why he's bullish on Bitcoin's long-term picture. So you see this whole scam, and you can read it all. So first of all, let me ask you a question. Does this sound like a true news story, or does it sound like a paid PR piece? Right? Where's the proof? Where's the evidence? Right? Now, if this is someone who has a lot of public exposure, public disclosure, say a fund manager, then you can check on this stuff. You can check on what they did, right? This is a guy who's a novice amateur, to call him trader. And in fact, as you're going to, well, I'll just go ahead and tell you right now, his Facebook profile from during that period when he was pumped stated that he was a public speaker and an amateur trader during his spare time. You know, kind of like Rachel Fox during her spare time. So you understand what's going on here. This is to create a fake track record. And this is what these guys do. This is what the media does. They do this with all these bigger name guys. By the way, this is how they operate. Okay, they'll tell you that Norel Rubini said this or did this. Jim Rogers said this or did this. And then people run with it because, oh, I looked it up in the media and there's an article saying that he did this. You understand? And then this gets quoted as a reference, as a citation when someone writes something about him elsewhere and on Wikipedia. It's complete horseshit. It's fraud. Okay? Show me the fucking proof. Remember, this is a guy who is a short-term trader, day trader. He's not an analyst, doesn't know what's going on. But what's funny is that in his feeble attempt here to market himself and get people to pay for his trading bullshit, he made a fatal mistake. Because you can see now, and the fatal mistake with these frauds, what they don't want to do is tell you what they're doing now. Because you know these guys are contrarian indicators. They don't know their head from their fucking ass. The worst thing these fucking clowns can do is tell you what they're doing now to set up for the future. Because you know the opposite's going to happen. So take a look. He's looking to pull out of stocks. Remember, this is June 8th, 2020, before the real fucking shabam occurred, the real bull market, as he believes the U.S. stock market is about to enter a risky zone. So, and by the way, let me just kind of, this kind of reminds me of Tom Nash. These people don't even know how to fucking speak. If the stock market's entering a risky zone, that means nothing. Nothing. You understand? But he basically doesn't want to say collapse because he is getting ready to get out. He gets out. Folks, he was never in, and he didn't get out. This is all a bunch of bullshit and lies. You understand that? So, anyway, let me move on now. That's why I had to change this, because I had it on this browser, which. So this is so you can see this video from ScamTube posted on Brian Rose's site. And you can see Brian Rose is still trying to defraud people with his crypto courses. By the way, Brian Rose is charging only $50,000 to sign up for his course. $50,000. And somebody says, you charge $1,000. I'm worth $50,000 an hour, by the way, buddy. You got this fraud charging $50,000. I mean, folks, it's pretty obvious. Can you see? I mean, if you can't see from his face that he's a fraud, take a look at the suit. Take a look at the Dan Pena-like fucking con artist suit. It's pretty obvious. But anyway. So, you can see here, this is basically, let me remind you, you can see the date here. This is when Brian Rose, one of Brian Rose's very first, perhaps his very first gig promoting scammers. And this is one I knew before this even, when he promoted Peter Schiff and Rastani on his channel, I knew he was a fraud. Absolutely. That's why I called him out many years ago on my website. So this was all about basically promoting Rastani as someone legitimate. Why? Because Rastani paid Brian Rose this kind of an advertisement to market his trading seminars, you see. Look at this. Alessio Rastani, a seasoned financial trader and market analyst. No, he's not. In fact, He claimed that he was only a part-time, he'd been trading part-time for 6 years. How's that seasoned? You understand? I mean, anyway, just complete fucking horseshit. Anyway, let's move on now to the important stuff. This is what struck me. So I did a search today, and guess what I pulled up? I pulled up something on MSN with this fucking clown, Alessio Rastani. Okay, take a look. And this is another example, folks. You have to understand all of these websites, whether it's MSN or what have you, they're advertisements. It's not news. They have ad slots that they are renting out. You understand? It's kind of like the infomercials, the networks late night on ABC, CBS, and they rent out their airtime for con artists. And I've always seen that as, hey, this is ABC. You all are compliant. You're complicit with this. You're renting out your name to allow these frauds to come on because you know that the name of your network and the distribution and reach that it receives is valuable. Why? Because it's your network. You understand? But of course, we're talking about media, folks, and you know who runs the media. The same guys who make the fucking laws, which is why the media is not legally responsible. They can get away with fraud. Same situation with Wall Street. By the way, you know who runs the regulatory agencies, and you know who runs Wall fucking Street. Need I say more? Boom! That's why I'm banned. Of course, when I was banned 20 years ago, I didn't know about the mafia. I wasn't talking about the mafia. The mafia, by banning me, actually made me awake. I awakened a few years later and realized I was like, holy shit. I can't believe I didn't see this before. So anyway, so take a look at this. Whenever you see good vibes only, that means no critics allowed. You can't expose our scam. Oh, good vibes. Oh, we don't want you here. You're giving bad vibes. Oh, because I'm questioning your scam? You got it? You ever heard that little phrase, good vibes only? That's kind of what that means. It's a way to make you sound like a bad person, an evil, negative person, because we want good vibes. You understand? It's a way to facilitate a kind of a con artistry scheme, right? It's a way to make you feel bad, social pressure from exposing scammers. You see? Anyway, psychological. A warning for the U.S. real estate market from the scariest chart in finance. Okay, interesting. And look at, this is the most interesting thing. This was reposted 14 hours ago. So this is another fraud behind the media because, MSN is allowing this. Okay? MSN, and they're all the same. They all do the same shit. MSN is allowing a repost. Why? Because it's a fucking advertisement. That's why. But you think it's news. Okay? 90% at least of the people that see this think it's current. Okay? They don't bother to take a close look to realize that it's 2 years old. You understand? So let's take a look at this. Let's listen to this video now. See what we got. And once again, he's paying to be promoted. He's paying this fucking promo agency to place him on MSN and other sites. Folks, this is the media. This is what they do. You understand? It's all a bunch of horseshit. Ad-based content is going to fuck you in the ass. Now, if you're of a certain persuasion, you probably fucking like that. Go for it. Let's listen. Okay.
Hey guys, it's Alessio. Hope you're well. Could this be the most scary chart right now in finance? You see guys, what I'm going to show you in this video is something that has not happened for 16 years. And this could have a major implication for the mother of all bubbles. I think you know what I'm talking about. I'll explain to you what that means in a few moments. And I'm going to explain to you why this could be a major warning for the overall economy and the major markets, and what it potentially may mean for you and me as well in the near future. Join me.
Leading trader. There he is. He's giving you his leading trader. That's his brand. He's a leading trader. Sure he is.
All right, guys, welcome back. Before we begin, let me tell you about how you can win a free membership for 6 months to our Leading Trader Premium service, our premium videos and updates.
Okay, now listen to this one. This is really interesting. You're going to love this.
And by the way, you can do that by registering on the link for our sponsor, Masterworks. The link is in the description below. So let me just give you more details and also about our sponsor, Masterworks. With over 75 years of art buying.
So this is probably what's going on. Because this guy's such a broke dick fucking loser that he probably doesn't have the money to pay for this placement on MSN through this good vibes bullshit. You understand? So he's working with Masterworks, the scammy ass fucking company that uses marketing deception and all types of fucking bullshit to trick people into their garbage. Got it? That's the first fucking problem we see here. Let's continue.
Experience, Masterworks is one of the largest buyers in the art market today. In fact, Masterworks has emerged as the only platform taking billionaire art collectors head on and lets you access their exclusive investments. Simply put, you can now invest in the very same art they do by names like Banksy, Monet, Basquiat, and other iconic artists for just a fraction of what they pay to purchase. Masterworks knows what they're doing when it comes to selling art. In fact, since 2020, Masterworks has sold 3 paintings, with each returning over 30% net IRR to their investors. And their new offerings usually sell out in hours.
See, folks, this is the problem once again with what I talked about with the SEC, the criminal mafia running the SEC, which passed those laws, crowdfunding laws, changed the regs, Reg FD, disclosure, and you're able to solicit private equity to fucking dipshits. To brainless fucking YouTube idiots. Okay? And the fact, though, is that they're engaging in deceptive marketing with their claims. I can assure you that. Okay, and there's many things, of course, you understand. Marketing, if you don't market something with accuracy and full disclosure, you can't say, oh, well, read the terms. No. If you're making certain claims, you have to qualify everything. You can't just make fucking blanket claims. But anyway, I'm sure by now you all know what a fucking scammy company Masterworks is.
Again,
and once again, let me remind everyone, okay, there are some scammy companies that are listed on the U.S. stock market. For instance, Fiverr, Upwork, right? Many other scammy companies, right? So not to say that there aren't scammy companies on the U.S. stock market, but one thing's for certain, the hurdle is much higher. If you have companies that are, say like this, that are private equity trying to pitch investments, they're not on the stock market. Why is that? Same thing with all these real estate deals, right? These private real estate deals, private equity that they market on YouTube, Grant Cardone, all this bullshit. Why? Because they can't get on the stock market. Because they have too many red flags. They have too many issues. They can't pass the regulatory environment, and or they don't want to have to disclose a lot of things. You see, if you're listed on the stock market, you have to disclose through legal filings certain things that could wake people up. If you hold your investment as kind of a private equity, you don't have to disclose a whole hell of a lot. So it keeps people in the fucking dark, you see, by the way.
You need to remember that contemporary art prices have outpaced the S&P 500 total return by 164% from 1995 to 2021. Getting started with Masterworks is super easy. It just takes a few clicks. You visit their website, create an account, browse their artwork, and you can diversify your portfolio with one of the most stable assets around.
One of the most stable assets around. No legitimate investor is going to pitch Masterworks as a good investment. Okay? Remember, I'm the guy that worked advising funds, very wealthy people, venture capital funds as well, private equity, hedge funds, so on and so forth, on Wall Street as a financial advisor. And I can tell you, no responsible person would be pitching this horse shit. None out there. Okay? None. But, of course, this guy never worked on Wall Street. He's a typical fucking grifter. Okay? But do you think people know the difference? Of course they don't know. When you hear all these fucking unproven claims and all this horse shit, and you say, oh, it's on MSN, I mean, it must be legitimate. You understand how the typical person gets fucking taken.
If you don't want to wait until I find a buyer, Masterworks also offers a secondary market on their website where you can sell your shares to another member, similar to how you would sell your stock like Apple or Tesla on an app like Robinhood. So now with Masterworks, you can get set up.
You see that? How he's equating it to selling your stock like Apple and Tesla?
Masterworks also offers a secondary market on their website where you can sell your shares to another member, similar to how you would sell your stock like Apple or Tesla.
No, it's not similar. That's marketing deception, which is fraud. It's not similar because it's a market that they make. You don't have the liquidity. We don't know what the spreads are. This is complete fucking fraud. This marketing presentation in Masterworks, you want to challenge me? Let's fucking go. Let's go. Oh, this is fucking fraud. I should fucking report them to the SEC. I should report it.
On an app like Robinhood. So now with Masterworks, you can get set up with just a few clicks. Simply go to the link in the description, which takes you to the website, sign up, create an account.
Yeah, it's clear to me this is what's going on. This Alessio Rastani, because Masterworks, even idiots now on YouTube realize Masterworks fucking bullshit. So he's partnered with them, and they're paying to place his bullshit, you see, because he doesn't have the cash to do it.
And then browse their paintings. You can then diversify your portfolio with fine art. And again, remember, nothing is risk-free, so make sure you decide responsibly. Now, as I mentioned before, when you register on their website using the link in the description, what Masterworks will do is they will randomly select 2 names from the total for sponsoring this video and also for giving us the opportunity.
Look at this. This is the charity scam, by the way. The charity scam was probably started by, well, in terms of kind of the big high-profile scammers, probably Tony Robbins kind of started that trend. And, of course, as you can imagine, every single one of these fucking scam artists, their mentor is Tony Robbins. You understand. You realize that, right? Tony Robbins, it's donate to charity. He's a good guy. He's a nice guy. So what that does is, first of all, it's kind of a PR thing. Folks, let me tell you something. Number one, anyone who donates anything to charity and they're telling you about it, they're not donating to charity. They're paying for PR. If you're donating to charity, you don't want anything back. You understand? They want to tell you how they're donating to charity so you think that they're a good guy. That's paid PR. That's not charity. Real charity goes unpromoted. That's something you don't hear about, right? All these guys, he donates this. No, all these people you hear about donating charity, they're frauds. Everyone. Got it? Do you know why? Because you hear about it. He donated. Mark Zuckerberg donated millions to the San Francisco General Hospital. And now it's called Zuckerberg Hospital. Right? You understand? That's how it works, folks. Real charity is not something that you tell people about. You're doing something, not asking for something in return, not looking to boost your fucking PR, not looking to make yourself look like a good guy. So anyone who claims to donate to charity, especially when it's connected to their business, in my book, they're automatically a fraud. They're automatically a scammer. That's a red flag right there. You know they're going to fucking scam you. Write it the fuck down. Okay? Should make sense. It's nothing difficult to understand. It's just something, you have to come across that. Being aware of that. Now that I've explained it, you all should realize that. So, and that's the first thing. The second thing is, show us the money. You're not donating shit. You're making false fucking claims like you claim that you're some experienced trader. You're a liar and a fraud. And let me just mention, Timothy Sykes also latched onto this charity thing. Why? Oh, he's giving money to charity. He's a good guy. Wow. It's, it also, what it does is that it says, well, I can't lose because I'm going to buy his this and that because he donates to charity. I can't lose either way. Okay. In fact, I came across some videos of Tim Sykes. I was meaning to, I'll expose him. I'll get to it at some point. I'll probably do it in piecemeal because he's one of the biggest fucking day trading penny stock scam artists out there. He's the king of the scammers. And his whole story is complete lies. Absolute fucking fraud. Built on a mountain, an empire of fucking lies and fraud. You go to his fucking channel and you go and tell him. You tell him what I said. Let's fucking go. That little squirmy fucking weasel will run like a bitch. Guaranteed. Let's go, bitch boy. Okay, see, folks, these guys are used to dealing with fucking idiots. You understand? They're used to being able to pull over their lies on a bunch of fucking naive people. You see? They lose their fucking shits when they realize not only a Wall Street insider is exposing them, but when they realize one of the top insiders in the fucking world. Like, holy fucking shit. Trembling.
To help our charities. All right, guys, let's get back to the video. Now, before we take a look at this chart you're seeing here and what it potentially means for the mother of all bubbles, and also at the potential warning sign for the economy and the major markets and what it potentially means for you and me, let me first of all give you some background and some context. You may remember from a film, actually, you may have seen this film called The Big Short. Now, if you read the book or you've seen the film.
So it's the typical spiel, right? All these guys, what do? It's the psychological hook and sinker. Okay? What do I mean? Well, the media does it all the time. What do? They give you a hook. They get your attention. They grab your attention. And they grab your attention with perceived credibility. For instance, the media. Oh, Warren Buffett's buying this stock. I want to look. Okay, what is it? I want to make money because Warren Buffett's great. Right? You got it. Oh, The Big Short. Michael Burry. You got it. You got it. That's why it's important to understand exactly the reality about Warren Buffett, who, by the way, let me FYI mentioned, you might want to take a look at his, his big Occidental position, which was the media. He's buying more Occidental. Folks, I would never even recommend Occidental in my life. You don't recommend a fucking weird stock like that, a weird fucking company. And he's losing his fucking ass. But anyway, The Big Short. Same thing. It's a movie. It's Hollywood. It's fake. You got it? It's fake. But that's how he's pitching. So he's introducing this stupid movie that all the idiots saw. And they think they understand what will happen. Right? He's going to link that to his bullshit. You see? All these fraudsters do that.
Film The Big Short, you probably know what the story is about. And if you haven't seen the film, let me just give you a brief summary of what it's about. This actually is a true story of a group of traders who back in the year 2005 and 2006, they learned that the property market, the real estate market in America is in big trouble. Remember, guys, this is before the subprime mortgage crisis and at least 2 or 3 years before the financial crisis of 2008. So back in the year 2005.
They did that. They did this. They did that. Well, they made a trade. They made a conservative trade, actually. A conservative trade. I wrote 2 books. I came out in advance and told the world, here's my analysis. Here's what I think. Here's how you can make a fortune. You understand? Making a trade isn't predicting anything. It's making a gamble. It's making a bet. And once again, folks, they bet. This article is written actually in response to a Harvard bullshit article. I think it came out in 2009. Just showing how they're fucking don't know what they're talking about. And these are some excerpts here. And you can see, look at the stunning accuracy. And I'm not just talking about just, the detailed forecasts. You see? Look at that. Look at that. This was fucking exactly right. This is exactly what happened. You all realize that, right? You do realize that, right? California, Southern California, Northern California, parts of Florida, Vegas, they collapsed by 55%. You can look it up. The median collapse was 35%. Did you all know that, by the way? This was forecast in 2006. The bottom in real estate reached, I think it was maybe around 2011. Think about that one. This is world-class, unprecedented research, forecasts, predicting the most colossal, severe collapse in history. Nobel Prize. I mean, more than Nobel Prize. More, much more. That's what I'm saying. Take a close fucking look. Okay? I don't know if this link is, I don't think this, I include this. This is more of a combined, I should include this link actually. You see? So I say they made the easy bet because once again, let me explain for those of you who haven't caught on or are new. If you want to bet on a recession, okay, one of the easiest bets you can make is to bet against junk bonds, right? Bet against junk bonds, short junk bonds. Why? Because during a recession, and of course junk bonds means low credit rating. During a recession, junk bonds, bonds that have low credit rating, you're going to see a higher level of defaults. You understand? So it's an easy call. This is why I say these guys maybe didn't even know that there was going to be a financial crisis because they only bet on the junk bonds, the subprime mortgage companies, the subprime loans. You understand? They did not bet on the investment grade loans, which were held by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. You understand? They bet on the riskiest of loans. I went to the extent of telling you to even short, in addition to the subprimes, Fannie and Freddie, government-backed. And I mentioned that they would be bailed out by taxpayers, Fannie and Freddie. That's why I'm saying, folks, nobody in the world came close to me. That's why you have to learn the details. You understand? Do you all understand this? Are you starting to get it? I don't think many people really understand the true relevance. It takes a very experienced, knowledgeable financial professional to really see that. But this is why I'm trying to explain it. You know, nobody knew what the fucking mortgage-backed securities and asset-backed securities markets were before I wrote this book. They didn't. No one was writing about this shit. I even showed you the composition of this market, the asset-backed securities market. Okay? Look at that. I mean, this is world-class research in a fucking book. This is what we're talking about here. And take a look. And remember, folks, I wanted to say a lot of things, didn't want to get banned, so I worded things cautiously, even though I got banned. And take a look. I'm basically saying what's going on here. Even the riskiest of these loans can be manipulated into AAA-rated debt, is sold to pensions and other large funds because the same standards that apply to corporate debt are not applied to collateralized debt products. In addition, these ratings do not account for whether the investors will receive a return on principal. And since the companies that securitize these loans are not regulated like banks, they don't have a capital requirement that would ensure adequate reserves to fund payments to investors. Now, that little short paragraph alone is, looking back now, is probably too complicated for the typical fucking idiot who invests to understand, even though it's pretty fucking straightforward. I mean, if you don't understand that, then you need to fucking not invest. Okay. There you go. So the GSEs, that's Fannie and Freddie for the most part. Okay. Nobody predicted Fannie and Freddie would get in trouble. I wrote about it, right? A year and a half before it happened, right? And I predicted that they would get bailed out by the government, by taxpayers. Okay. I explained all this. I explained the details I explained the inner workings of this whole shit. And this, by the way, is in the chapter. And you can take a look at the chapters here, this comprehensive fucking book. I mean, as time goes on, I'm starting to realize, wow, what a fucking amazing book, Jesus Christ. But this it's in this chapter here, what you're reading from this other, right? I explain everything. Okay? This is what we're talking about, folks. We're not talking about some fucking clowns hyped up in a movie who made a bet, didn't tell anybody about their bet, and their bet was a cinch. It was an easy bet, an easy call, right? They could have gotten out of their bet. They didn't have to tell the media. They won the bet after they did. I came out with balls of fucking titanium and wrote the details. And I even went after Fannie and Freddie. I even went after the banks. Okay, recommended shorting banks, home builders, the whole shebang. I even came out and predicted the Dow could collapse to 6,500 in that book. And you know where it collapsed to, 6,500, 3 years after that book was written. And it's not like I never pointed to that book or to that bottom before that, because I wrote at least 2 or 3 articles that pointed to that same bottom in my book before that in 2008. Anyway, what would happen if the GSEs got into financial trouble? Not only would investors get crushed, but taxpayers would have to bail them out since the GSEs are backed by the government. Everyone would feel the effects. Close to $2 trillion in debt between Fannie and Freddie alone, as well as several trillion held by commercial banks. Failure of just one GSE or related entity could create a huge disaster that would easily eclipse the savings and loan crisis of the 1980s. Then, of course, I explain many things. It's really, I think, this chapter in that book should be used as a case study of how you really analyze things in an MBA school, an MBA program. Truly, I mean, I think so. I really believe that. And then I also talk about many other things. I explain all the derivatives. That's the real problem, the leveraging through the derivatives. See this? Based on today's grossly overvalued housing prices, a 35% correction on average seems very likely. Take a look where housing bottomed, peak to trough, 35%. Nobody in the world made that forecast. Not even Robert Shiller, the Case-Shiller Index. Okay? And in some cases, a 50 to 60% correction is possible, as I mentioned earlier, with parts of California, Vegas, and Florida. And here I also talk about where real estate prices are going. About 1999. And then here you have specific stocks. These are all subprimes, except for here. Now we have Fannie and Freddie. They even talk about Countrywide. You all don't know this, I know. Virtually nobody remembers this, but I do. Remember, I was front and center when this whole thing occurred. You have to understand, early on, during the early parts of the financial crisis. Everyone and their fucking mother thought that Countrywide was safe and had good loans. And the media was repeating this because Wall Street was repeating this. I mentioned back in my book, and this was written in 2006, late 2006, released in early 2007, the cashing in of the real estate bubble. I mentioned that I thought that it had a large amount of exposure to the subprimes. Even Wells Fargo, they were saying did not, and I knew they did. Of course, Countrywide had to get basically bailed out. They collapsed. Bank of America bought them. They weren't bailed out. They were bought by Bank of America. But I think there are some under-the-table types of deals going on. And by the way, I was the first person and the only person actually to, the day after the Bank of America Merrill Lynch deal was announced, I wrote an article called Bailouts Disguised as Buyouts. You can look it up. And I knew immediately what had happened was, in fact, Bank of America was convinced, it wasn't, Bank of America did not buy out Merrill Lynch. It was a bailout. And they were coerced by government officials to buy out Merrill Lynch. Okay? I knew that. And it turns out that the CEO of Bank of America, I forgot what his name was, a couple of years later, after all of that, in congressional testimonies, you can look this stuff up, he talked about how basically what I said, they were approached by government officials to buy out Merrill Lynch because they were being helped out to buy them out so they wouldn't have collapsed. Ken Lewis, that's what. Ken Lewis was the Bank of America. That's who it was. Ken Lewis. So here's the actual charts talking about shorting these things, and you can see the results. Bankruptcy, 100% gain, 100% gain. Bankruptcy, 95%, 95%. Home builders, 57, 93, 84, 84. Right? So, folks, this is what you call prediction, okay? Predicting the whole thing. Okay? This is what you call expertise. Not the fucking clowns that were glamorized in some movie. This is the truth that you got to know about. Because remember, I'm the guy, the only guy in the world who predicted the financial crisis truly. Not only that, I actually handed the world the keys to a huge bank account they could have created for themselves, making a shitload of money. Not once, not twice, many, many times throughout these predictions. Because remember, I talked about many things, including coming in, you could have avoided the market collapse, and I actually got people back in at the bottom. You can talk about any market sell-off and collapse, whatever, but if you don't get people back in at the fucking bottom, your prediction's fucking useless. You see, that's why I know how to forecast the fucking market. None of these fucking other guys ever do. They're just always talking about collapse, 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 collapse. And that's why if you listen to them, you're going to miss out on everything because they're fear-mongering con artists. You don't hear about real analysts that can forecast the market. You see, you hear about frauds, con artists like Alessio, Rastani, and all these other fucking clowns in the media. Take a look, folks. Take a look. Talk about significant exposure in Bank of America, Citigroup, basically saying, look, you should short these stocks too, but be careful because they can get bailed out. Derivatives exposure, right? You got to be careful. But the other one, that's why I didn't put the charts of these banking stocks in the book. Okay? When I'm putting them in a book to short something, I'm basically saying these motherfuckers are going to go goddamn bankrupt or damn well close without any problem. Okay? You see, because if you recommend a short in a book, someone can read it, a few years later and say, oh, well, it's up 500% from what you said to short it. You see? That's why nobody's going to have the balls ever to recommend shorting a stock in a book, you see, except me. Except me. Not just this book. I did it in Wall Street Investment Bible as well, when I presented kind of the excerpts of a case study that I actually took to the executives of Blockbuster Video and warned them. I tried to help them, and that's when I learned you can't help people who don't realize they need help. I could have saved Blockbuster. Blockbuster today could have been the dominant powerhouse in streaming if they had listened to me. So they didn't want to listen. I wrote the case study in the book, recommended shorting Blockbuster, going long Netflix, and the rest is history. So let's go back to this horseshit story, because folks, you got to understand, if you're listening to this, you are part of a very elite, exclusive group of people in the world who are understanding the reality of something that nobody else understands. Do you understand that? You realize that? No one else understands or knows what I'm telling you. And it's obviously critical to understand why. Because not only does it tell you about who I am and my credibility and how you could have made a fortune, it tells you about how people are manipulated in the media, promoting horseshit stories out of Hollywood, and everyone's a follower, everyone does the same thing. It also tells you how the media operates to create dumb money, and they ban me, and they promote clowns who aren't there to help you, who didn't try to help you. You understand? So there's so many important conclusions from this little story that I've told you, and you're the only people in the world who really understand that, and I think you can apply this to what's going on, and you'll become a much better and much more informed person and investor from that. So let's continue here.
Placing bets against.
Did you all hear my? I exposed Eisman, by the way. Burry, of course, I exposed. I don't know this Lippman guy. I'm gonna have to look into him. I guarantee you he's a fucking clown.
Trouble. And in fact, they learned that the bubble in the property market, the real estate market, is about to burst because it's really going up on nothing, on puff. So traders like Michael Burry and a number of other traders, they started placing bets against the property market, the real estate market. As you know, this is what's called shorting the market, or shorting in this case, the property market. So again, back at the time, these were only a group of traders, a few number of traders who had learned the bubble in the housing market was about to pop and essentially collapse. Now, here's the thing, guys. There was actually a number of charts, for example, this one I'm going to show you in a few moments, which was giving us clues as to what traders were doing behind the scenes. Notice, as you can see from this chart, the Home Builders Index, or XHB, that there was actually a major top in the price of XHB, the Home Builders Index, and the price dropped by about 30% in the year 2006. Again, remember, this is back at the time when these group of traders were placing bets against the housing market. And guys, as I'm sure you know, this is why technical analysis or chart analysis is so important. As Bernard...
So this is his whole pitch here. You understand the deviant psychology. He's telling you about this Big Short horseshit movie, some fucking clowns, okay, who made a bet. They didn't know what was going on, like I did. I mean, unless they read my book, which is very possible. Right? You can read that chapter. It's in the description. Take a look. Read the detail, chapter 10. Okay, you can understand what exactly was going on. He wants to throw that out there and then show you a chart. And then basically the story is, look, this is why charts are important, right? I'm a charting guy. I'm going to teach you. Buy my course, bro. Okay. But one thing, let me just mention as we go on here, is that notice he's showing you a chart of the Home Builders Index ETF. Home Builders ETF. Okay? Ask yourself this question. Does looking at a chart of the Home Builders Index say necessarily a whole lot about what's going on in the real estate market? Right? Maybe, maybe not. But my point is that you can't analyze what's going on in the real estate market just from looking at what home builders are doing in terms of the stock prices. Great example is over the past few years, for instance, right? What's going on in the real estate market in America, right? It's crazy. You see, is it, you've got really high prices, home builders, anyway, we'll take a look at the chart and I'll get back to that, but just keep that in mind.
Baruch once said, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. Because you see, guys, the news about the housing market collapse and the subprime mortgage crisis, that came out much later. That came out in 2007 and then in 2008 with the collapse of Lehman Brothers and a number of other major banks. But you see, guys, back in 2006.
That's not true. This is all complete bull. Once again, this is about selling you charts. A guy that says you can look at charts and you can know what's going on. You can make money. That's complete fucking horseshit. Of course, you're going to hear some fucking day trader tell you that.
We were already seeing a major significant drop in XHB, the Home Builders Index, which was giving us an important clue that something was not quite right with the housing market, with the property market, especially the U.S. housing market. Notice a 30% drop here in XHB. And by the way, let me also mention something else here. You're probably wondering, why am I looking at the Home Builders Index as opposed to, for example, the Real Estate Index or something like that? Well, you see, guys, the Home Builders Index actually can be a very important leading indication for what may potentially happen in the housing market. So this particular index, the Home Builders Index, can give us significantly important clues as to the health of the housing market or the real estate market. Again, in this case, the U.S. housing market. So that's why.
So once again, as you all can imagine, that's not necessarily true, especially in this current situation, because there's a lot of things going on which have caused the real estate problem. But anyway.
We pay attention to it because it's so important. So the bottom line is, guys, back in 2006, notice that, first of all, you see a 30% drop in XHB, the Home Builders Index, in 2006, showing to us that, again, certain traders were betting against this market, again, shorting this market. Then we had a major bounce. Notice that 7. And by the way, it was warning us that the health of the housing market is not so great, actually, and then began an uptrend. That is the housing market. Here in XHB, the housing market. In fact, you can see the housing market.
So this is where it becomes interesting here, and you can see this video was made in 2022. Okay.
Market.
Ask yourself how many people are going to catch that. Now, if you're listening to me, chances are very high you're going to catch that, right? But the sheep out there, the dummies, the typical audience isn't going to catch that. Why? Because once again, they're seeing this. It was just posted on MSN, and it even has a date, right? It has the current date of posting. So they're not going to think much about it. They're going to be following this rambling shyster's little spiel. And anyway, look at this cheap ass. I guess it's leather. Look at the jacket. I mean, what is this, from like 15 years ago, dude? I mean, what? I don't know. Maybe I'm not with the latest trend. Anyway.
Now, let's take a look at the chart of XHB right.
Okay, so you can see that. So this is actually, you can see, this is the beginning of 2022. Hopefully you can see that. It's hard to see, but the date may be there. But it's beginning of 2022. And this is, of course, as the stock market is beginning to sell off, right? Which I forecast, by the way. We're getting interest rates are going to increase, right? So let's just go ahead now and see what he has to say.
Right now. So here's something very interesting you can see here on the Home Builders Index. First of all, you can see a major nice uptrend, a nice quite rally here in XHB, the housing market. In fact, you can see the housing market in the U.S. got overheated, quite a bit heated here. You can see last year there's quite a lot of strength and quite a nice rally here in XHB, the Home Builders Index, which, as I'm sure you know, it's not surprising given the heated property market, the real estate market in America. Again, house prices have been surging over there. But here's the thing. Notice that XHB made a peak there quite recently over the last few months. As a matter of fact, I think it was the beginning of this year or at the end of last year. And by the way, since making that high, it has dropped by about 30%. In fact, it is down now approximately 30% from that peak there. Now, here's something else. Notice where it's resting. It's resting just very close to that trend line support. That trend line support you can see on the chart there. Again,
by the way, let me just mention, he's going to get to the, I guess, the conclusion here soon. Let me just mention, notice how fast he's talking. Okay. This has obviously been sped up and it's been edited. You know about fast talkers, right? They're all con artists. They want to talk fast so you don't have a chance to think a whole lot. They're constantly pushing you forward. Jim Cramer, many others. Not to say that all con artists talk fast, because they don't. But, that's a telltale sign, red flag. Kevin Pathrath, Jim Cramer, right? In fact, Kevin Pathrath actually does what Jim Cramer does. Just constantly moving on this stock, talk about this stock, pump this stock, never go back to it, pump, 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 pump. Just luring in the kind of day trading type of bullshit, which is all these YouTubers basically do. They're talking about whatever stock is moving, you see, which people don't even understand. That's the most dangerous thing to allow yourself to get into, is listen to someone who's just fucking constantly rambling about one stock today and another stock tomorrow. That's just creates impulsivity, trading, and you're going to lose all your money. It's just fact.
A very important support level. So the bottom line here is this. We've seen a major correction
Hold on a second
in
here.
the home builders index close to that trend line support. That trend line support you can see on the chart there. Again, a very important support level.
So, by the way, he claims that this is a very important support level. He doesn't even know fucking technical analysis.
Peaked there quite recently over the last
few. See that? He's claiming this is a very... No, it's not. This is not... You don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you dildo. This is not a very important support level at all. It's not a support level. It's a trend line. It's a median trend line. Okay, that's what it is. It's not that these types of trend lines are not that relevant, by the way. It's not a true support level. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Fucking idiot.
Months. As a matter of fact, I think it was the beginning of this year or at the end of last year. And by the way, since making that high, it has dropped by about 30%. In fact, again, a very important support level. So the bottom line here is this. We've seen a major correction, again, in the home builders index, XHP, which could potentially be a major warning of something we saw, again, about 16 years ago, back in 2006, with, again, this chart I showed to you, and of course the story regarding the Big Short. However, guys, I don't want to give the impression here that this is exactly like back in 2006 or what happened afterwards with the housing crash. I think it's too soon to call that, or actually too soon to imply that. For one thing, we haven't had a major bounce. Remember, 16 years ago.
So notice, by the way, he's getting back to the Big Short, all this stuff, right? And right now it's too short to today it's going to be like the collapse we had in 2006. Think about that. He's looking at a chart to determine whether we're going to see a collapse in the housing market like we saw in 2006 based upon a chart. What a fucking idiot. You understand what I'm talking about, folks? That's why I just showed you excerpts from my book. He's looking at a chart. Doesn't understand anything but a chart. He thinks the charts rule everything, right? He told you. If you want to see what's going on, look at the chart, right? That's the news. That's before the news. Fucking idiot. That's not the main
2006, after the 30% drop here in XHP, that wasn't just it. We need to wait for some kind of a bounce or rally about 3% or more in the next several weeks or months. Again, that's needed to make sure that we don't fall into the trap of thinking that this is by itself a downtrend. It's not. At the moment, this counts as a major correction, okay, as a major retracement to the prior rally. So we must not jump into conclusions that think this is exactly like 16 years ago. No, this is at the moment not yet a downtrend, okay? So far as the correction, back to support, again, back to the trend line support. So what needs to happen to confirm or increase the likelihood of a downtrend is first some kind of a bounce, a strong bounce about 3% or more, and then to be followed by another major drop to take out the prior low, whatever low it was that formed before the bounce. And then if...
You hear that? So he's giving you the formula here. He's telling you 3% bounce and then a breakdown, take out the low before that bounce. And if that happens, you're going to see something like the collapse in 2000 and the financial crisis. Okay.
That happens. And again, it's an if. So it's by no means guaranteed or certain. So if we see that bounce followed by another major drop, then the probabilities increase quite significantly that
this guy's, folks, the problem is that if you don't really know what's going on, you're going to listen to this and you're going to believe it because he's a fast talking huckster showing you the graphics. You understand. It's like a politician. Right? Complete horseshit. This is a complete fucking horseshit. Let's take a look now. That's basically what he's saying. Okay? Let's take a look now at this chart. Son of a bitch. Had to reboot the fucking computer to get the let's so you can see this is the same ETF, similar chart. Now take a look at this. What happened here? Let's take a look at you see that? This is 2002, right here. This is the video right here. Okay? See that? Let's take a look at a 6 month, or I'm sorry, not 6 month, a 3 year. Okay, can everyone see that? See that, Home Builders, XHB? And so this is the beginning of 2022, right? He is talking basically right around this area, okay? See that? So he's saying a 3% bounce. You got 3%, okay? And then look, it took out that low, bounced again, took it out big time. Now, I can guarantee you, if he's making another video, he's telling you, that's it. We've collapsed. He's calling another financial crisis. But look what happens. Zip. Look at that. You understand? This fucking idiot is making up bullshit. Folks, I can tell you, I am very good at technical analysis. I'm very fucking good. Extremely good. But I don't use it a whole lot because it's not that reliable. I use it in conjunction with many other things. And I can tell you that even I would not tell anyone about a 3% balance and a breakdown. You can't do that. You can't look at charting alone. Okay? It's just completely reckless fucking bullshit. But typically, these people who trade, they're just going to look at charts. Now, if you're looking at things like commodities and futures, that's much more technicals for sure. But you have news bits that move those things because that's all gambling. That's all short-term trading by nature because you're dealing with short-term contracts that expire. That's not investing. Okay? But take a look. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Complete fucking scammer. So let's take a look now. This is all about UK trader becomes internet sensation. He's a fraud. And so he tells everyone he's a trader. Okay, I guess anybody can be a trader. Folks, when you come out, and this is why BBC has no credibility, complete fucking scam, like all the media. If they introduce someone as a trader, that means they work professionally at a firm. He doesn't work at a firm. And notice he's dressed up as if he has a job. He has no fucking job. Why is he dressed up? He wants you to think he's working at a Wall Street firm. You understand the bullshit, right? Look at this. Firstly, Rastani is an amateur trader using his own money as a hobby, as he told other media. This is later on, because he has this on his Facebook profile. He's not registered with the Financial Services Authority to trade other people's money, right? So they don't say this in this initial interview with BBC. This is only after CNN. You understand? Mr. Rastani declined to say how much money he earned in his most successful year. That's between me and the tax man. Yeah, because he doesn't want to get in trouble for lying, and he knows he didn't make shit. You see, he was telling you about, his most successful year as a trader was 2008 and early 2009, but he doesn't want to tell you how much he made. 5 years ago, he started trading for himself because of the, quote, freedom. Here you go. Take a look. I'm happy to point them in the right direction so they can learn how to actually profit from the market crash, right? He wants to teach you how to trade. Give me money. Buy my course, bro. See, and so this criticism of him, folks, all it does is gives him free promo. Remember, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Any publicity is good publicity because he's getting attention. Look, he's posting his fucking website. Look at that. I mean, look at that. Anyone who wants to improve Mr. Rastani offers tips on how to trade and gives advice saying that anyone who wants to improve their income and achieve success in life cannot afford to ignore learning how to trade. Can you believe this fucking scammer? What a fucking joke. Here's his website. Leading trader. Get started today. What a fucking fraud. What a clown. But folks, he's just like all these other fucking YouTube fake gurus. They all have got their own little fucking spin. So this came out afterwards because people were saying it's a hoax. Why? Because the guy's a fucking clown. So what do they mean by hoax? Well, what they're saying is that they thought it's like an obvious prank, right? Because this guy's has no fucking. It's obvious he had no credibility. You understand? But in terms of it's a hoax because he's a fucking clown. You see? So that's pretty much it. Wanted to show everybody this. Just as funny. It's funny as hell. Complete fucking fraud. So let me just go ahead and say this. I've already talked about this before. I don't know if it's someone that's tries to, I don't really care because I only speak the truth. But I've told this story many times before, and that the following story of I was contacted by someone from the Financial Crisis Inquiry Commission, the FCIC. Okay. That was a commission kind of like the Warren Commission after JFK was assassinated. The Warren Commission was basically a kangaroo court to make it look like it was being investigated. It was a lot of things were hidden. The FCIC was also a kangaroo court, and they communicated with me. I spoke on the phone with the head investigator who I haven't thought about this in quite a while, so let me think. His name was, I forgot his name was Seefer, Seefer. Interesting name, huh? Seefer. I forgot his first name. But this is the guy apparently who was kind of an underling during William Black, who I think led the investigation of the savings and loan crisis. The professor at law at University of Washington, I think, or in Missouri or something like that. And I actually communicated. I communicated with William Black later on, and I told him about my story, and he never got back to me. And then when I called him out on it, he's like, oh, I've been busy. I have a lot of emails. As if like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. And the story was this. I spoke with several times, and then there was another guy, I think a secondary investigator who I was in contact with. His name was, I think Richardson. I have the emails, by the way. I have some emails of Seifer. I think I do, and Richardson. But we spoke on the phone. And the bottom line was this. I told them, because Seifer's like, he's like, is there any way you can come up to Washington? Because, I really want to know how you knew all this, The preliminary discussions was because they want to bring people there to testify before Congress. Okay. And so what happened was, what they want to do, first of all, is they want to screen you. They're not going to tell you that. But they want to see what you're going to tell Congress, because understand that anything you speak before Congress, it's a testimony, becomes official public record. Okay? And now, of course, the law, you can just look into the FCIC report. It's probably, they're probably a couple of thousand pages. You can look who was there. All the usual suspects, all the fucking clowns who missed the financial crisis, but are perceived experts. Warren Buffett, he lost a fucking shitload on the crisis. That's why he later on engaged in what I believe is fraud by investing, getting kind of information about, investing in companies that were going to be bailed out, like Goldman Sachs, GE, General Motors, and then not telling the public that he had already invested in them and to support the bailout. Certainly dishonest. But he was desperate. And then, of course, you had many others who were basically there to get marketing, you see. If you can imagine, you're a fund manager. Oh, wow, he was there, right? Well, what happened with me was I told them why this happened. I told them the truth, because by that time I had already seen what's going on. And they didn't want to hear that. So they dropped contact with me because I told them about the mafia. That's true. You got it? That's a true story. Okay? True story. I told William Black later on about this and how his buddy, I think William Black was probably responsible for putting Seifer in that position. And William Black, by the way, him and Seifer, they're related, FYI. And I told him it's all fucking fraud. You see, folks, this is what's going on. You understand? This is why, think about what's going on. The criminality that you see in this big fucking mafia. Why nobody was investigated for the fraud that caused the financial crisis. And instead, what happened? Well, the media wants to tell you, oh, it's okay. They're greedy. They do drugs, which means they didn't intentionally try to defraud people. That's why they spun it that way. And then what happens? Michael Lewis, the paid fucking shill, he's also related. He gets promoted because he tells the story of how people are going to remember the financial crisis. What does he do? He makes these fucking Three Stooges out to be heroes. I'm ignored. You understand? You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, everybody in the mafia makes money off of your losses. Wall Street makes money off of your losses through fraud, and the media makes money off of your losses through fraud. They sell you stories. They make movies. They write books and sell their books. And no one's in jail, and no one tells you about this. You understand? I talked about this 15 years ago. Notice how they're all making money off your ass. The same fucking idiots who lost money in the collapse are the same fucking idiots who lined up to buy these stupid ass fucking books to glamorize everything and lined up to watch these stupid ass movies. They got you asses. They got you dumbasses. Fucking stupid people, man. Instead, they don't see the big picture. You should boycott all that shit. Why? Because you don't have anybody out there writing books talking about how they're fucking criminals and should be in jail, and how the media helped them with this shit. That's who you should be supporting. Kind of like guys like me who tried to help everybody But I'm the guy that's getting banned, that gets fucked over. Once again, folks, that's why it's important, critical to know who I am and my track record. At the very least, it's quite simple. Read those chapters on the financial crisis. If you want to delve into more, read the whole fucking book to see what's going on, to see who your real fucking hero is. But I'm the bad guy. And all the heroes out there, folks, if you're promoted by the media, you better believe they ain't on your side. Those are the dirty fucking criminals. And I can call myself a fucking hero. You know why? I wasn't doing that before. I've lived through all these years of facing all types of issues. I deserve to be called a fucking hero because I am the fucking hero. I don't care what anybody says. The facts speak for themselves. I'm the one that paid the price for trying to help the public. You understand? And they promote criminals, con artists as heroes, while they're all making money off of the scam. It's the same song and dance, right? All the criminals, all the cons they promote. Notice that, right? What's the guy's name? The Catch Me If You Can. He's related to all these fucking guys. They promote him. Jordan Belfort, they promote him. They're all related. You understand? You understand? And they're all making money with the promo. No one shuns these motherfuckers. You understand how it works. If you got the right fucking bloodline, you're privileged. Doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get money handed to you one way or another. You're going to take the money. Okay? You understand? Because you got a media mafia, and a Wall Street mafia, and there's many other, you know. Do I need to talk about the politicians? You understand what's going on, folks. You see the big picture. I didn't see this big picture 20 years ago. I've lived it. That's why I'm probably the most feared person by this mafia in the world. I got all the facts. I got all the names. I got it all. And I can prove it all. You understand? And they don't want to hear the truth. Because they've been thriving off of fraud and deceit for centuries. You got it? Again, I knew nothing 20 years ago. And now I see. And let me just tell you something, people. Sharing my videos is a pussy-ass, weak-ass attempt to do anything. You're not doing nothing. That's a weak-ass little 6-year-old attempt. Why don't you start your own fucking channels? Okay? You ain't going to wake nobody up by sharing a fucking video. That does nothing. That does diddly fucking squat. You're dealing with mind control people that are brainwashed. You understand? You're dealing with people who've been told the same horse shit over and over again 1,000,000 times by 1,000 people with huge exposure. You think they're going to listen to something diametrically opposed to what they've been hearing by some guy they've never heard about? Of course not. I mean, seriously. That's the fucking deal. What are you talking about? You go to these high exposure people and you fucking tell them the deal. You go to these motherfucking frauds. So you'll find out. You'll find out what's going on. I learned this a long time ago. Okay? You go and you say, well, Joe Rogan, you want to expose these things. Why don't you have this guy on? Here's his credentials. He'll expose it all. You'll hear fucking Mum, Licks, Friedman, all these guys, because they know that I'll expose them as frauds. They can't handle that. This is why, even from years back, folks, why do you think none of these people want to talk to me? Because they know I'm too fucking honest and too clever, and I'll expose them as frauds. Okay? It's like I said before. Somebody asked me, "Oh, well, who out there do you trust?" There's nobody. There's nobody. I found this out a long time ago, and I was shocked. If you think there's someone out there, then you don't know what's going on. People are fooled. The question is, how long are you going to be fooled? The people that are making the money off of telling you what you want to hear, that's their business, you understand. That's what they do for a living. They're making their money. These podcasters and all this bullshit, they're making their money telling you what you want to hear. I don't know anybody else in the world who talks about this shit. It's not part of their business. This is not my business. I don't get paid for this. In fact, I lose money for this. Lots of money I've lost. I've lost tons of money. Can you imagine what I would have to do if I got 1% of the attention in the media that I deserve based upon my track record? Just 1%. I would have to rent out 10 UPS stores and all their mailboxes in order to receive the amount of money coming in. People sending me money to manage if I was going to go in that game. Can you imagine? Right? Can you imagine with my credibility and track record if I wanted to be a shill for the gold companies? Right? Because, of course, I did recommend gold 20 years ago. It's just that I wasn't recommending physical gold, you see? Because that's what all the criminals are fucking involved in. Selling you narratives and bullshit so that you're paying high commission and you're keeping it forever, no exit strategy. So then they got you to convince you to store it with them. You can pay them 1% a year to store your fucking gold. Fucking scam. All right, folks. I just wanted to do this little thing on this scammer, Rastani, because I ran across to that MSN. And it just shows you how the media works. I've seen it before. They do this all the time. I mean, can you believe this? 14 hours. Look at the date. Look, it shows you the date. I mean, think about it. Most people aren't going to sit there and think, oh, this is 2 years old. Okay? This is all about advertising Masterworks. This is a Masterworks production. And you've got this fucking paid shill, Alessio Rastani, pitching that scammy ass bullshit. That's what it's about, folks. These people are all the same. Ad-based content is a scam that's going to fuck you. Guaranteed. Fact. Write it down. I've been proving it now for more than 15 years. Ad-based content is a scam. You're going to get fucked. Always pay for your content, because then you have a relationship between the content provider and the audience. If you're not paying for content, someone else is. And that someone else is looking to get their return on investment, luring you through their fucking ads. And the ads are related to the content. You understand? I've explained this over and over again. The financial media is the easiest genre to see the relationship, because the financial media only advertises, for the most part, financial related firms. So you can see how the content is tied into the media, right? Who's going to advertise on CNBC? Financial firms that can make a good investment return on their ad costs, right? So online trading firms, trading apps, they're going to advertise on CNBC. Why? Because you got Jim Cramer and all these other fucking clowns, Josh Brown the clown, and all these other idiots rambling. The Nigerian knuckleheads, well, they got kicked off, but rambling about trading this and trading that. This is a good trade. Look at the da-da-da-da-da. Right? And then you got the confusion, which causes people to blow up. And so Merrill Lynch advertises. People need help. They've blown themselves up. Oh my gosh, Merrill Lynch helped me. You understand? That's why the financial media is designed to pump that content. They only promote clowns. Make sure you get thrown into the fucking gutter. So you will contact their ad sponsors to help you. Ad sponsors say, hey, this is a great way to pick up new business. Advertise on CNBC, advertise on Scamberg, advertise on MSN, because look how many customers we got. You understand? It's all one big fucking scam. Okay? That's it.